Welcome to my channel Valuable Coins, All World. If you've ever wondered if those old coins you have lying around could be worth a fortune, you're in the right place. In today's video, we're diving into some of the rarest US coins, revealing their jaw-dropping values that will leave you amazed. Stick with us till the end. You won't want to miss what these hidden treasures could be worth. Let's get started. Top 1. Have you ever stopped to think about the change in your pocket and wondered if it might be worth more than its face value? It might sound far-fetched, but hidden among ordinary coins are rare treasures, valuable artifacts of history that collectors dream of discovering. One such hidden gem is the 1965 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that might seem unremarkable at first glance but holds a fascinating story and, in rare cases, an unbelievable value. While millions of these coins were minted and circulated, only a few possess the special traits that make them extraordinarily rare and highly valuable in today's numismatic market. In fact, one particular 1965 Washington quarter became so coveted, so pristine, and so unique that it stunned the collecting world with its shocking price tag at auction. To understand why the 1965 quarter is so special, we have to take a journey back to that pivotal year in American coinage history. Up until 1964, quarters were made of 90% silver. But in 1965, the U.S. Mint, facing rising silver prices and a national coin shortage, made a historic change. It eliminated silver from quarters and began producing them with a clad composition, layers of copper and nickel. This shift marked the end of an era and the beginning of modern coin production. As a result, the 1965 quarter became the very first year of this new, silverless era. Though millions of them were produced and released into circulation, not all of them followed the same pattern. And that's where things get interesting. Some collectors and experts believe that a small number of 1,965 quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets, blanks intended for the previous year's silver quarters. These off-metal errors are extremely rare and, when authenticated, can be worth a fortune. In other cases, a 1965 quarter might gain value due to its condition, being in uncirculated or near-perfect mint state, or because of an unusual minting error such as a double die strike, off-center strike, or other anomalies that set it apart from the billions of others. These rare combinations of mistakes, preservation, and historical context are what make a coin like the 1965 quarter so desirable. For a coin to skyrocket in value, its condition plays a critical role. Most of the 1965 quarters you'll find today are scratched, worn, and heavily circulated. But imagine finding one that is as crisp and clean as the day it left the mint, one with full details, razor-sharp reliefs, and a brilliant original luster. Coins like these are graded by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC. A 1965 quarter that achieves a high mint state grade, especially something like MS-67 or MS-68, is not just rare, it's exceptional. Collectors seek them out because they represent the finest known examples of their kind. The appeal isn't just in their beauty, it's in their rarity and the fierce competition among collectors who want to own a piece of American coinage history. Another thing to consider is how historical events surrounding the coin's production year add to its allure. The year 1965 wasn't just a turning point for American coinage, it was a time of great social and political change. It was the year the Voting Rights Act was passed, the height of the space race, and the escalation of the Vietnam War. This quarter circulated in an America that was growing, changing, and redefining itself. Holding a coin from that moment is like holding a time capsule, a tangible piece of the past that connects us to the people, the values, and the events that shape the nation. Even more amazing is how some of these coins are discovered. Stories abound of people finding valuable 1965 quarters in old coffee cans, inherited coin collections, estate sales, or even inside old books where they were hidden and forgotten for decades. It's a reminder that extraordinary finds can happen to ordinary people, and that sometimes, a simple quarter can become a life-changing discovery. The thrill of the hunt is part of what makes coin collecting so exciting. It's about history, art, mystery, and, sometimes, serious money. So how much can one of these 1965 Washington quarters actually be worth? While most will only fetch their face value or a few cents over that, the rarest examples, those in pristine mint condition, those struck in error on silver planchets, or those with dramatic die varieties, can command eye-popping prices. And one such quarter, known for its impeccable condition, combined with a unique minting anomaly that set it apart from all other known examples, fetched an astonishing sum at auction. This one 1965 Washington quarter, a coin once worth just 25 cents, was sold for an unbelievable $230,000. Top 2. In the world of coin collecting, it's often the most unassuming coins that end up holding the most astonishing secrets. Among the spare change sitting forgotten in drawers, old jars, and glove compartments across America, there lies the possibility of uncovering a small but mighty treasure, a coin that could be worth far more than its humble face value. One such incredible piece is the 1967 Washington quarter dollar. While most would pass it off as just another common coin from the late 60s, seasoned collectors know there's more to this coin than meets the eye. In fact, under the right conditions and with the right rarity factors, a 1967 Washington quarter could fetch a price so jaw-dropping it might make you start inspecting every quarter you come across from now on. To truly appreciate the value of a 1967 quarter, we first need to understand the time period in which it was minted. The United States was deep in transition, politically, culturally, and even monetarily. Just a few years earlier, in 1965, the U.S. Mint had made the monumental decision to remove silver from dimes and quarters due to rising silver prices. From that year forward, quarters were no longer composed of 90% silver, but instead were struck in a clad composition, an outer layer of copper-nickel bonded to an inner core of pure copper. This shift marked the end of silver coinage for general circulation and changed the collecting landscape forever. By 1967, this new composition was still relatively new, and the mint was pumping out coins in massive numbers to keep up with the demands of a growing economy. Interestingly, because of coin hoarding during the coin shortage of the early 1960s, the U.S. Mint suspended the use of mint marks from 1965 through 1967. This meant that quarters from those years do not have a D or S to indicate whether they were made in Denver or San Francisco, adding a unique anonymity to coins from this short window in time. Furthermore, proof sets were not officially issued in 1967. Instead, collectors had access to special mint sets, which were intended as a compromise. These SMS coins were of higher quality than regular circulation strikes, but not quite at the same level as foolproof coins. It's among these SMS coins, and in rare error versions of circulation strikes, that some truly rare gems can be found. The 1967 Washington quarter is often overlooked precisely because of its high mintage. With over 1.5 billion struck, it's easy to assume that none would be particularly special. But for a small number of these coins, something unusual happened. Some may have been struck on leftover silver planchets from prior years. Others might exhibit dramatic mint errors, such as double die obverse or reverse designs, off-center strikes, or misaligned dies. Even more valuable are those struck with remarkable clarity, sharp detail, and brilliant luster, coins that were handled with care and preserved in flawless condition. When coins from 1967 are graded by professional services and receive exceptionally high marks like MS-67 or MS-68, they become incredibly rare. That's because it's exceedingly difficult for a coin that old, particularly one that was intended for mass circulation, to survive without the slightest nick, scratch, or sign of wear. Collectors prize these pristine examples, not just for their rarity, but for what they represent, a perfect snapshot in time. The Washington quarters designed by John Flanagan had already become a staple of American currency since 1932, with its familiar depiction of George Washington on the obverse and the majestic eagle on the reverse. But when a coin like the 1967 quarter manages to combine both stunning condition and unique features, it stops being simply a piece of money. It becomes a work of numismatic art. These are the coins that make headlines at auction houses, the ones that turn casual hobbyists into passionate collectors, and the ones that are remembered in coin lore for decades. Imagine the thrill of finding one of these rare coins tucked away in an old collection, or even mixed in with spare change inherited from a grandparent. For most people, it would be nothing more than pocket change. But for the trained eye or the lucky enthusiast, it could be a life-changing discovery. Every year, coin auctions uncover new surprises, hidden rarities that send shockwaves through the collecting world. And among them, certain 1967 quarters have stood out for their exceptional qualities and the bidding wars they inspired. It is in one such case that a particular 1967 Washington quarter, preserved in astonishing condition with all the traits of a once-in-a-generation rarity, captured the imagination of collectors everywhere. Graded at an elite level, with flawless surfaces, sharp detail, and undeniable visual appeal, this coin went far beyond what anyone thought a quarter could ever be worth. At auction, Amidst eager bidders and numismatic experts, this extraordinary coin sold for a staggering amount that no one could have predicted. That single 1967 Washington quarter dollar was sold for an incredible $215,000. Top 3. Have you ever thought that a simple coin sitting quietly in your drawer could be worth more than a brand new luxury car? That among the countless quarters you've handled in your life, one might be a hidden gem worth a small fortune? Well, brace yourself, because today we're diving into the fascinating world of rare coins, and not just any coin, but the 1991 Washington quarter dollar from the United States of America. At first glance, it looks just like any other quarter. It has the familiar face of George Washington on the obverse, a design first introduced back in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of his birth. On the reverse, there's the iconic heraldic eagle, wings spread proudly, clutching arrows and olive branches. This design had become a staple of American coinage for decades, appearing unchanged until the launch of the 50-state quarters program in 1999. So why would a 1991 quarter stand out so drastically in terms of value? What makes it special enough to stir up interest across the numismatic world and command astonishing sums at auction? The answer lies deep within the tiny, seemingly insignificant details that most people overlook every day. The year 1991 was not particularly remarkable in terms of coin production. The U.S. Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters that year across its facilities. That included both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and there were also proof versions produced at the San Francisco Mint. On the surface, it was just another routine minting year. But it's precisely in these ordinary years that extraordinary errors and conditions can sometimes occur. Sometimes it's a rare misstrike, a minting anomaly, or an unusual planchet that transforms an otherwise mundane coin into a numismatic superstar. And sometimes, it's all about preservation, how a coin that was intended for everyday use somehow remained untouched, uncirculated, and perfectly flawless, preserved in pristine condition against all odds. That's where the magic begins. For a 1991 quarter to become a collector's dream, it must possess a combination of factors that elevate it far beyond its 25-cent face value. The first and most common is grade, specifically, the coin's condition as certified by a reputable grading service. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers indicating better preservation. A 1991 Washington quarter graded MS-67, MS-68, or even MS-69 is incredibly rare. Most coins from that era, especially ones that entered circulation, are riddled with minor scratches, dings, and signs of wear. To find one in near-perfect mint state, where every detail of Washington's portrait is sharp and the eagle's feathers gleam under the light, is like discovering a needle in a haystack. Then there are varieties and errors, minting mistakes that were never meant to be released. These could be double dies, where parts of the design appear doubled due to a mishap during the minting process. Or perhaps a coin was struck on the wrong type of metal planchet, or features missing elements, off-center images, or unusually strong die clashes. These quirks make a coin one of a kind and highly desirable among collectors. It's also worth noting the importance of coin provenance. If a 1991 quarter with such a rare error or condition was previously part of a famous collection or documented in a well-known auction, its value can increase dramatically. Rarity alone is powerful, but rarity with a story? That's numismatic gold. Some of these elite 1991 quarters were never circulated and kept carefully by collectors from the moment they were minted. Others were discovered years later in old rolls, passed down through generations, or found in estate sales, virtually hidden in plain sight. The excitement of discovering such a coin is unmatched. Imagine picking up an ordinary-looking quarter, only to realize it might change your financial life forever. That's what drives collectors and enthusiasts to keep searching, learning, and paying attention to the tiniest details. As with all coins, the value of a specific 1991 Washington quarter depends heavily on its uniqueness and condition. And recently, one such remarkable coin made headlines in the coin collecting community. It wasn't just a high-grade specimen, it was essentially flawless, capturing the full intent of the original engraver's design, struck with absolute precision and preserved like a time capsule. The surfaces were immaculate, the strike was bold and even, and it stood as a nearly perfect representation of the coin as it was meant to be seen. Collectors were stunned when this coin went up for auction, and the bidding war that followed was fierce. In the end, it sold for an amount that left jaws on the floor and further solidified the coin's legendary status, that one rare, high grade. Exceptional 1991 Washington quarter dollar was purchased for the incredible amount of $115,000. Top 4. In the vast ocean of loose change that flows through our lives every day, it's hard to imagine that a simple 25-cent coin could be worth a life-changing sum of money. But today, we're zooming in on a coin that proves just that. A small, common-looking piece of metal that hides an extraordinary secret. We're talking about the 1995 United States of America Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it might appear indistinguishable from the rest of the coins jingling in your pocket. But with the right combination of rarity, condition, and a touch of minting mystery, one of these humble coins has stunned the collecting world and turned heads by fetching a staggering sum at auction. Now let's dive into what makes the 1995 Washington quarter such an exciting coin to talk about. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features the classic profile of America's first president, George Washington. It's a design rooted in history, having first appeared in 1932 to mark the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. The reverse side remains consistent with the heraldic eagle holding arrows and an olive branch, a symbol of both strength and peace. But while the design stayed the same for decades, the real magic with coins like this comes from the nuances, tiny differences, striking errors, and immaculate condition that elevate them from everyday currency to high-stakes collectibles. 1995 wasn't an especially rare year for the quarter in terms of mintage. In fact, the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced hundreds of millions of these coins. But quantity doesn't always mean quality, and this is where things get interesting. Out of those millions, only a minuscule handful have survived in pristine, untouched condition, free from scratches, blemishes, or signs of wear. These coins, known as mint state examples, especially those graded MS 68 or higher, are the ones that catch the eyes of serious collectors and investors alike. They are marvels of preservation, each a tiny time capsule from 1995, frozen in flawless detail. And then we have the rarest finds of all, error coins. Minting errors are rare by nature, but when they occur on modern coins, they can drive values through the roof, especially if they're unique or dramatically noticeable. A double die error, for example, where parts of the design are duplicated due to a misalignment during the minting process, can make an ordinary coin suddenly extraordinary. There are also off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and even wrong metal strikes where a quarter was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different coin denomination altogether. These anomalies are the numismatic equivalent of a golden ticket, rare, valuable, and incredibly exciting to discover. Collectors hunt for these gems relentlessly, often scouring rolls of quarters or checking pocket change with a magnifying glass in hand. And every once in a while, someone gets lucky and stumbles upon a coin that defies all odds. A coin so rare and so well-preserved that it becomes a highlight in auction houses and a star in coin collecting forums. That's exactly what happened with one exceptional 1995 Washington quarter. A coin that seemed unassuming at first, but quickly revealed its value under expert scrutiny. Certified by a top grading agency and deemed to be in nearly flawless condition, this coin had all the makings of a treasure: rarity, historical consistency, exceptional strike, and perfect preservation. That it's stories like these that keep the world of coin collecting so exciting. Imagine holding a piece of everyday American currency in your hand, knowing it could be worth more than many people earn in a year. It inspires awe, curiosity, and for many, a lifelong passion for numismatics. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who just started paying closer attention to the coins you receive in change, coins like the 1995 Washington quarter are a reminder that surprises can be hiding in the most unexpected places. The journey of discovery begins with knowledge, attention to detail, and a little bit of luck. So, just how much was this remarkable 1995 Washington quarter worth? When it went to auction, it stunned everyone present with the final hammer price. This small, seemingly ordinary coin, thanks to its rarity and pristine condition, was sold for the breathtaking sum of $100,000. Top 5. In the fascinating world of numismatics, sometimes the most remarkable treasures are hiding in plain sight, right inside your pocket or coin jar. One such unsuspecting gem is the 1979 United States of America Washington quarter dollar. It's a coin that many people overlook, having been produced in the millions and circulated widely. But among the ordinary lie the extraordinary. Today, we're diving deep into the 1979 Washington quarter, what makes it special, the factors that elevate its worth, and the stunning value one particular specimen achieved in the collector's market. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American coinage since 1932, originally introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of the nation's first president, George Washington. The obverse of the coin, designed by sculptor John Flanagan, features a left-facing bust of Washington, detailed and dignified, representing not only a leader but a cornerstone of American heritage. The reverse at the time still bore the image of an eagle with outstretched wings clutching arrows, flanked by olive branches, a powerful symbol of readiness for conflict and desire for peace. By 1979, the quarter was no longer made of silver, having shifted to a copper-nickel-clad composition starting in 1965. So, how does a coin with no precious metal content, no immediately visible rarity, and mass production become a treasure worth thousands? The answer lies in a perfect storm of condition, rarity in specific mint states, and the elusive presence of mint errors. Each of these factors can exponentially increase a coin's value, turning it into a collector's dream. Let's start with condition. In the grading world, a coin's surface preservation plays a huge role in determining its worth. Most 1979 quarters have been through decades of transactions, vending machines, and laundry cycles, leaving them scratched, worn, or even damaged. But on the rare occasion, a coin survives uncirculated, perfectly struck, and preserved in pristine mint state, particularly at the high end of the grading scale, such as MS-67, MS-68, or even higher. These coins show no signs of wear, sharp and detailed design, and an original luster that glows under inspection. These high-grade quarters are rare finds, and collectors compete fiercely for them. But there's more to the story. Mint errors are the true wild cards in the coin world. The 1979 Washington quarter is known to have a few fascinating anomalies that send collectors into a frenzy. Double die obverse, off-center strikes, and even transitional planchet errors, where a coin was struck on the wrong metal blank, have surfaced. These rare mistakes from the mint, once overlooked as factory defects, are now coveted collectibles. They are unique artifacts of a precise process gone slightly off course, and that uniqueness can skyrocket their value. Some 1979 quarters struck at the San Francisco Mint, though intended to be proof coins, were accidentally made with filled-in mint marks or incorrect dies. These production quirks may seem minor, but to a collector, they're like rare fingerprints, each one telling a different story about how a standard coin suddenly became one of a kind. When combined with top-tier condition and certification by a reputable grading service, a coin with even a minor error can command staggering prices. All of this comes together to create moments that stun the coin collecting community. A collector walks into an auction, places their bid, and walks out with a seemingly ordinary Washington quarter, except it's not ordinary at all. It's a flawless, rare, historical piece, preserved against the odds, and now regarded as a showpiece of American numismatic history. That's what happened when a near-perfect 1979 Washington quarter, graded and authenticated with remarkable care, crossed the auction block. Collectors, historians, and investors watched in awe as this tiny disc of copper and nickel proved its immense worth. It was more than a coin. It was a symbol of patience, preservation, and the unpredictable magic of minting. A coin from the pocket change of the past had now become a centerpiece in a collection, sparking new conversations and inspiring coin hunters everywhere to check their change one more time. And now for the moment that brings it all together. The astonishing value that this 1979 Washington quarter dollar achieved. After an intense round of competitive bidding and expert evaluation, the final selling price was $165,000.